as Hurricane Katrina pounds Louisiana and Mississippi. Stay with 11 News for the most complete coverage of this killer storm. Live reports throughout the day and night, showing you the latest pictures of the devastation. From the eye of the storm to Katrina's impact on Houston, 11 News has more reporters covering this story from every angle. And turn to hurricane expert Dr. Neil Frank for the most reliable track of Katrina. For the most up-to-the-minute coverage of Katrina, trust 11 News.
Now, 11 News at 5.
And welcome back to our continuing coverage of the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina and the tremendous impact it is having on Houston. I'm Lisa Ferranda.
And I'm Greg Hurst. Thanks for joining us. Thousands more evacuees have arrived in Houston and more are on the way. This as officials announce the opening of more mass shelters.
Governor Rick Perry has called in the National Guard to help with Houston with the evacuees. President Bush flew over the Gulf Coast to assess the damage. Food, water, and protection arrived in New Orleans for survivors who have gone without for days.
The numbers are staggering there and here. Mayor Bill White says there are now more than 100,000 Katrina evacuees in the Houston area. That includes 15,000 in the Astrodome, 11,000 will be housed in the Reliant Center, 3,000 in the Reliant Arena, and another 5,000 will now be sheltered at the Brown Convention Center downtown.
We have also just learned that a bus carrying evacuees from New Orleans to Alexandria, Louisiana has crashed. We're bringing you in on this, Greg, because you were not on the set during that time. This is video from that crash. This is Opelousas, Louisiana. We know at least one person has died on Interstate 49, several others critically injured. We're still gathering details on that, and we will bring you more as we get them. Even thousands more are in several shelters getting care during this crisis.
11 News reporter Doug Miller is live at the Astrodome with more on the growing effort to help storm evacuees. Doug?
Greg, out here at the Astrodome, people have spent hours waiting on buses, waiting to get inside one of these buildings. The Astrodome is full. They're now overflowing people into nearby buildings. Officials have made it very clear that this job is bigger than any one building, any one city, any one state can handle. The eighth wonder of the world can't handle it.
I never lived like this in my life. Never thought I would see this.
Meet the new neighbors, evacuees like the Clark family.
You know, I've been a working man all my life. All I want is for them to get them something to eat, some clothes, and somewhere to lay their head.
Jesus' holy name.
But there's no more room on the Astrodome's floor, shown in this home video shot by an evacuee who's one of the 15,000 people now living here. Nobody knows how many more are on the way.
The buses are not being turned away. There is a queue because you have to process people through, and we do have medical personnel that go on the buses.
So now they're setting up more cots in Reliant Center, an exhibition hall expected to hold about 8,000. After this space fills, they'll set up even more in the George R. Brown Convention Center.
People should be asking themselves in this region where they know of a garage apartment or a place that people can stay so that we can move people out of shelters and processing facilities.
But Houston has so many new neighbors, the mayor has made it clear this city can't do it alone.
Corpus Christi has agreed. This is a CBS News special report. Bob Schieffer with our continuing coverage of the disaster on the Gulf Coast. President Bush has been touring New Orleans today. He started out in Mississippi earlier today. He's just come back from about an hour tour by helicopter all around New Orleans. We are told he landed at least once, and he's going to give us a report here on what he saw.
The governor of Louisiana, and the mayor of New Orleans, Senator Landrieu, Senator Vitter, and Congressman Jefferson, Congressman Jindal, and General Blum. Just completed a tour of some devastated country. I started in Alabama, worked our way down through Mississippi, and ended up here in one of America's great cities, and saw firsthand the devastation that this city has gone through. I know the people of this part of the world are suffering, and I want them to know that there's a flow of progress. We're making progress. I want to thank the governor for her hard work, and I want to thank the mayor. I know that some of the folks in the outlying parishes here in Louisiana wondering whether or not people are paying attention to them. We are. St. Charles, St. Bernard, Plaquemine Parish, I understand the devastation that you've gone through as well. So does the governor, St. Tammany, so does the governor, and so do the senators. This is a devastating storm. This is a storm that's going to require immediate action now. I'm pleased to report, thanks to the good work of the Adjutant General from Louisiana and troops that have been called in, that the convention center is secure. One of the objectives that we had today was to move in and secure that convention center and make sure the good folks there got food and water. The caravans, the bus caravans, are continuing on, as is the airlift. The people of this part of the world have got to understand, and by the way, we just came from the 17th Street levee. A lot of folks are working hard to repair that levee. They've been working around the clock, 24 hours a day. People from the federal government and the state government and the local government are working to fill that breach. The mayor has been telling me, not only by telephone but here in person, how important it is that we get that breach filled and get that pump station up and running. And we went there to inspect progress being done, and the people of New Orleans have got to understand there's a lot of people working hard, and they're making good progress. You know, I'm going to fly out of here in a minute, but I want you to know that I'm not going to forget what I've seen. I understand the devastation requires more than one day's attention. It's going to require the attention of this country for a long period of time. This is one of the worst natural disasters we have faced, with national consequences. And therefore there will be a national response. And I look forward to continuing to work with the governor and the mayor and the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives to do our duty to help the good folks of this part of the world get back on their feet. Here's what I believe. I believe that the great city of New Orleans will rise again and be a greater city of New Orleans.
All right, yes, sir.
I believe the town where I used to come from, Houston, Texas, to enjoy myself, occasionally too much,
yes,
will be that very same town that'll be a better place to come to. That's what I believe. I believe the great state of Louisiana will get its feet back and become a vital contributor to the country. I believe the people of Mississippi will recover. I understand we got a lot of work to do, and I understand it seems dark right now. But by working together and pulling together and capturing that great spirit of our country, a great city will rise again, a great state will be vibrant. If you want to help, if you're listening to this broadcast, contribute cash to the Salvation Army and the Red Cross. There'll be other opportunities to give, and we hope you do give. But right now, we need cash to the Salvation Army and the Red Cross. They're on the front lines of providing help to the people who need help. May God bless the people of this part of the world, and may God continue to bless our country. Thank you very much.
So the president winds up his tour of the city of New Orleans. He was out for about an hour in a helicopter most of the time, but we are told that the helicopter did set down at several points, and he walked among the people. That's Senator Landrieu to his left. That's the mayor of New Orleans, or to his right, I should say, and the mayor of New Orleans just over his right shoulder. That was Governor Blanco about to talk. The president's visit coincided with the first real federal relief coming into the city. Convoys of military trucks arrived earlier today with food, with drinking water, with medical supplies, and as you just heard the president say, National Guard troops have now secured the convention center. That is just next door to the to the Superdome, where so many of those people were housed and where many of the people who have no homes are now being sheltered. There was real trouble there earlier. All law and order virtually broke down, but the president emphasized that the Guard has now taken control and has secured that area. Many of these people, as the president said, have been moved to his hometown of Houston, Texas, and are being housed in the Astrodome there and other public facilities. We'll have more on all of this on the evening news. CBS will continue to update you on this disaster in New Orleans and beyond, on the air and on the web. Our CBS Evening Newscast tonight will be a special expanded edition of the Evening News. I'm Bob Schieffer in New York.
And of course, Bob Schieffer in New York bringing us up to date on the national situation and what is going on in New Orleans.
And when we were talking about that breaking news, just at that moment, we broke away from the story about the Astrodome, the largest shelter in this area. In fact, 100,000 people, according to the mayor, have now moved into this area, the Astrodome being the largest place to shelter those evacuees. And Doug Miller is still out there to finish up that report. Doug?
And Greg, we can only emphasize that that is only a guess, a rough guess by the mayor about how many people are here. More than 100,000, he says. Also, about 15,000 are housed here at the Astrodome. They're overflowing into nearby buildings, the Reliant Arena, and also the Reliant Center. And of course, more people will be housed at the George R. Brown Convention Center. They will be assisted, we are told now, by National Guard troops, something the mayor requested to come in and help because, after all, this is a strain on Houston's system here. We are also told that that in the coming days, we'll see more people in hotels, about 55,000 rooms in this area. No telling how many of those rooms have more than one person in it. That's only an indication. So we can only guess how many people are flowing into Houston during this crisis. Live at the Astrodome, Doug Miller, 11 News.
All right, Doug, thanks. And communication is a big problem. So the United States Postal Service is trying to make it easier for evacuees at Reliant Park to get mail from family and friends. Reliant Park now has its own zip code. So anyone sending mail to evacuees at Reliant should put that person's name and then address it just to general delivery, Houston, Texas, 77230. Well,
the volunteer situation has been straightened out at the Astrodome, and now relief organizers there are asking for your help. If you'd like to help, you are asked to park at the yellow lot at Reliant Park. There you'll be processed and go through orientation before getting down to work.
Okay, now you've seen the Astrodome and what's been going on there. Also, the Brown Convention Center is being set up to house thousands more evacuees. 11 News reporter Mark Greenblatt is there with more on that. Mark?
Greg, the city is really stepping up to the plate and fast. They've gathered top city officials all afternoon out here at the convention center, trying to transform this convention center into another refugee site for what we're being told is as many as 7,000 to 10,000 refugees that will eat, sleep, and live here, possibly for the long term. Now, this is not going to be an inexpensive proposition. On Monday, we've just learned that the city's expected to meet to talk about allocating as much as $10 million from the city coffers to help pay for all of this last-minute gathering of refugees. It's a substantial allocation. Only some of that is expected to be refunded back to the city, according to City Councilman Adrian Garcia, and he may be asking for your help.
We need them to continue to support the food bank. We need them to continue to support the Red Cross. But at one point, you know, the city of Houston will be laying out some public dollars that we don't know whether we'll get refunded back for or not. So we may need you to help the city of Houston directly.
The mayor echoing all of those comments, but also saying that the most important thing for everyone to remember as we move forward here and trying to house these evacuees is to think that saving lives is more important than anything else.
Sure, but I told people that in the exhibit hall over there, by the way, this is about lives, not about money.
City leaders are asking for your help. If you are a large corporation that has a large corporate gift of sleeping bags or cots that you can deliver here to help them out, they're still trying to set up in here and they could use your help. Just go ahead and bring them down to the south end of the convention center anytime tomorrow morning after 10:30. Reporting live here from the convention center, I'm Mark Greenblatt, 11 News.
Injured evacuees are still being bussed out of the hardest hit areas.
That process has been slow and tedious, and it is not much better at the field hospital that has been set up at the Louis Armstrong International Airport in New Orleans. That's where we found 11 News reporter Vicente Arenas to tell us how the operation is going. Vicente?
It'll be about a minute 45. Well, Lisa, it's going very slow so far. Look over my right shoulder here. This gives you an idea of just how desperate folks are. It is hot out here. it is just incredible in terms of the number of people that are showing up. They're begging for water, they're begging for ice. Some of them have been stranded for days. Finally, they made it here. And if you look over to the left a little bit, you'll see on gurneys, you'll see patients on these baggage cars that are usually reserved to move your luggage when you fly into and out of airports. Tonight, there are grandmas and grandpas just waiting in line to get into a shelter. This is what it looks like on the outside. Let's roll some video and show you what it looks like on the inside. It is absolutely packed here. Bodies are just packed inside, and a lot of these folks aren't sure when they'll be able to go home. They're frustrated, they're tired, they're angry. They want to know when help will come. We've been told that some people will be flown out of here, but we have seen very few, if any, commercial flights or large airplanes ferrying these evacuees out of here. It looks like they're going to be here for at least several more hours, if not several more days. And I guess the bad news at this point is that they just keep coming and coming. Lisa and Greg, back to you.
All right, Vicente Fox at the airport in Kenner, Louisiana, bringing us up to date. Thanks. As for law officers, they've been threatened and shot out, and now some New Orleans police officers say they've just had enough. 11 News reporter Jeff McShann has more on the officers who have been pushed to the brink.
On the streets of New Orleans, the police here are trying to keep the peace. At least they were.
It's mass chaos, you know. I mean, we were severely outnumbered.
He would know. A few days ago, Lieutenant Henry Walker was right in the middle of the madness. But now he's gone. He drove his patrol car west and quit.
I'm thinking, you know, the Army, the National Guard, they have to get in. They have to do the job. The police department is helpless.
There's no communication.
Can't say you're welcome to it, but you gotta do what you gotta do to survive.
And Lieutenant Henry says the officers are trying to survive. But to stop looting, forget it.
We're all broken up. It's not like there's any plan for the police department. You're on an island, you know, operating on your own basically with whomever you're with. There were no communications. So two guys get into a fight in this Foot Locker here, and all of a sudden, bang, bang, there's shots fired and there's trouble. How do the guys 2 blocks away even know? You're left there to die.
And Walker says he wasn't going to die there. So a lot of the police officers evacuating too. Tonight at 6, we're going to have some amazing pictures that we got from our affiliate WAFB here in Baton Rouge of some newborns being flown in by helicopter from hospitals in New Orleans. They're lucky to be alive. That's coming up in an hour. We're live in Baton Rouge. I'm Jeff McShann, 11 News.
The Department of Human Services was overwhelmed with hurricane evacuees today.
There were some problems at the Rosenberg location because of a confusion about the lines. Most of the evacuees were there to get certified for food stamps and other services, while police were eventually called in to organize law enforcement there. Some evacuees say after waiting for hours, they found that they were in the wrong line and then had to start the wait all over again.
Frustration certainly continues, as will our coverage of Katrina's aftermath after the CBS Evening News.
That will be followed by 11 News at 6. We'll have an update on the situation at the Dome complex, plus more live reports from the Gulf Coast. It has just been an emotional week for the entire country when we finally get a chance to stop and think about it.
And there are days and probably weeks of more of this to come. And we will leave you tonight with just some of the images from the hardest hit areas. We'll see you at 6.
What has happened down here is the wind have changed. Clouds rolled in from the north and it started to rain. It rained real hard and it rained for a real long time. 6 feet of water in the streets of Evacuee. The river rose all day, the river rose all night. Some people got lost in the flood, some people got away all right. The river had busted through, cleared down the Plaquemine. 6 feet of water in the streets of Evacuee. Oh, Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. trying to wash us away. Oh, Louisiana, oh, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. Oh Lord, trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away.
An unprecedented day for Houston as evacuees from Hurricane Katrina keep arriving.
We'll tell you just how many people are seeking shelter here.
We are assisting the evacuees with change of address cards.
The Astrodome is at peak capacity, and now it has its very own zip code.
And with local shelters filling up fast, see where else the city is seeking space to house the homeless. Good evening, I'm Jerome Gray.
And I'm Greg Hurst. Thanks for joining us. Houston is beginning to burst at the seams from the overwhelming number of evacuees from Hurricane Katrina. The mayor's estimate, our population has now grown by 100,000.
Another giant shelter will open here, and the Texas National Guard is on the way too. In New Orleans, the National Guard has arrived with food and water. President Bush has been on the ground touring hurricane damage in the region.
And some evacuees just cannot escape the misery. Unfolding right now is a breaking news situation along Interstate 49 near Opelousas, Louisiana.
A bus carrying evacuees from New Orleans overturned. We're being told that one man died and at least 10 have been taken to hospitals, some in critical condition. According to a state trooper, the driver apparently lost control, but it is not clear why. The evacuees from the Superdome were being bused to Alexandria, Louisiana.
As mentioned, Houston's home base for evacuees is maxed out. The Astrodome says it's full with 15,000 people. Reliant Center is ready to open and welcome 11,000 people. And then Reliant Arena is getting the overflow, an estimated 3,000 people. And now the city is set to open the doors to another major facility, the Brown Convention Center.
It's located on the edge of downtown Houston, but rolling out the welcome mat to thousands of evacuees will cost the city. 11 News reporter Mark Greenblatt is live at the GRB to tell us how much more. Mark?
Jerome, Greg, the cost is not cheap, that's for sure. We've learned that it could cost as much as $10 million. That's according to City Councilman Adrian Garcia. On Monday, the city's going to get together in special session and actually talk about where that money is going to come from, how much will be refunded perhaps from the federal government, and how much won't be. But for today, and just this afternoon at least, inside the convention center here, all the talk was far from anything that had to do with money, instead focusing on how they'll just get a roof on everybody's head as fast as possible. They've got triage centers, medical centers, showers, anything and everything they can do to help these evacuees out. But Councilman Garcia says this is not going to be cheap for the city, and if you're in a generous mood, you should think about saving some donations for the city.
We need Houstonians to continue to come together. We need them to continue to support the food bank. We need them to continue to support the Red Cross. But at one point, you know, the city of Houston will be laying out some public dollars that we don't know whether we'll get refunded back for or not. So we may need you to help the city of Houston directly.
Now, in addition to spending as much as $10 million to help out the evacuees, the city's going to take another hit. They've ordered for the next 30 days at least all convention business out here at the George R. Brown Convention Center to be canceled as they prepare to house up to 7,000 to 10,000 evacuees. Reporting live from the convention center, I'm Mark Greenblatt, 11 News.
Houston has opened its arms to those in crisis, but we're seeing that load is getting really heavy and testing the city's hospitality. 11 News reporter Doug Miller joins us now live from the Reliant Astrodome to tell us what he has seen there. Doug?
You know, a couple of days ago, Greg, everybody thought that certainly any overflow from the Superdome could be held here at the Astrodome. Well, that went out the window very quickly. Now people are overflowing into nearby buildings. The Astrodome is full. 15,000 people are now inside the dome. So today they began setting up cots inside the Reliance Center, the exhibition hall next to the Astrodome. Of course, when this building fills up, they had to decide where to send people from there. So that's when they're going to start moving evacuees into the George R. Brown Convention Center, where Mark is right now. Houston's mayor roughly estimates that this city has taken in more than 100,000 evacuees. Again, that is just a very rough estimate, who are seeking refuge from Hurricane Katrina.
During Tropical Storm Allison, I saw some of the most generous, gracious people in my life. I didn't think I would ever see a replay of that. I was hoping I'd never have to see a replay of that. But we're seeing it again, and we're seeing it in a greater way.
Well, here is what it looks like today inside the Astrodome. Now, this is home video that was shot by one of the 15,000 Louisianans who are now staying inside the dome. Now, this is only a temporary home. These people are going to have to find some place to live after they move out of the Astrodome, and that's why Houston's mayor today was emphasizing one very important point, that these folks are going to have to find apartments or homes of some kind. And he also said that people in Houston are going to have to look for any garage apartment they can find to help house all of these people who have flowed into the Houston area. One other very important point to talk about here at the Astrodome, they're making a very special appeal for people not to bring over any sort of supplies to this location. They've had a lot of people showing up here. They say they can't handle it here. If you'd like to find out where to take all of the donations you'd like to make, you can go to our website, KHOU.com. Live at the Astrodome, Doug Miller, 11 News.
Remember, initially we were being told that volunteers should not just show up and expect to work, but that has now changed. Astrodome volunteers are now needed, according to the Harris County Office of Emergency Management. Now, if you want to help, you're asked to use the yellow parking lot that's off of Main Street near McNee, and from there you will be escorted to Reliant Park.
Since the Dome is now a temporary home to so many, it also now home to its own zip code. 11 News reporter Wendell Edwards explains.
Like the thousands of residents before it, now all the mail from the New Orleans area is headed to Texas.
Basically anything that goes in zip code 700, 701 is all coming into the city of Houston. We've been processing their mail on a daily basis.
The U.S. Postal Service has even given the Astrodome its own zip code, 77230. Officials say the code is unique only to the Dome and is effective right away.
It's important that we get you your medicine. It's important that we get you your money and your insurance paperwork wherever you're at.
But now it's up to evacuees to do their part. Each person must fill out a change of address card. At the Astrodome today, several folks started lining up.
My Social Security check, it'll come when.
New Orleans resident Carol Ben also receives a disability check. Money, she says, she desperately needs.
I have to find a place to stay, you know. We can't stay up in there too much longer. It's too many people.
The U.S. Postal Service says as soon as one of those change of address cards is received, it only takes about 24 hours to process it. That means people from Louisiana could start receiving their mail as early as the beginning of next week. A new home for evacuees, complete now with its own address. At the Astrodome, Wendell Edwards, 11 News.
For evacuees who want to get their mail, this is an example of how they should change their address. John Doe General Delivery, Houston, Texas 77230.
A reminder, we have more for you on our website, KHOU.com. This will include a place where hurricane survivors can talk with each other. You will also find a link to an online database that lists the names of known survivors along with the names of the missing. Now, people still seeking shelter should call the Red Cross's local information hotline. That number is 713-313-5480.
Governor Perry has deployed 1,000 National Guard troops. They'll be used to help keep the peace as evacuees pour into Houston. The troops are expected to arrive here tomorrow.
President Bush toured the storm-ravaged Gulf Coast today and conceded the federal government has been slow to respond. He went to Biloxi, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, and to New Orleans. In Biloxi, he hugged a mother and child who can't find their home. He told them the government was doing everything in its power to make things right. In New Orleans, he met with the frustrated mayor and flew over a city in ruins for a bird's-eye view. He promised that New Orleans would rise again.
4 days after the hurricane hit, the National Guard finally showed up in New Orleans. A convoy of vehicles carried food and water through the flooded streets, bringing relief to thousands at the convention center. Soldiers also made their way to the Superdome, where thousands more have been waiting. In nearby Kenner, Louisiana, 11 News reporter Vicente Arenas watched the evacuations of medical staff members from hospitals.
We carried patients. We carried 180 patients up 6 flights of stairs
to get them upstairs, and we had to fight people to get these patients up the freaking stairs. It's nuts.
John Gerhold and his wife were among the latest refugees to arrive at the New Orleans International Airport.
There was people shooting people. There was airboats trying to get in to save us, and they were getting shot at. When the hurricane hit, there was buildings on fire everywhere.
The Gerholds were part of the medical staff at Methodist Hospital, of which Hurricane Katrina had no mercy.
What was the most emotional moment for you in all of this?
Watching people being airlifted, being carried up the stairs in sheets, and by the time they got to the roof, they were dead.
The nurses and doctors used to taking care of others became patients themselves.
This is really rough. It really is. I don't have any medicine or anything.
The medical staff thought their airlift to New Orleans International would bring comfort and safety. Not the case, they say.
They tell you, oh, you can get in a plane to San Antonio, and you go there and it's a mob of people and it's not safe. And then you can go down to a bus, wait for a bus, there's a mob of people. You can't get out of here.
They're not alone. Thousands say they left one really bad situation and now find themselves in another.
A moment ago, I saw that group from Methodist Hospital walking behind our camera here, and I asked, are you guys finally leaving? And one of the ladies said, yes, thank God. So they appear to be going to a bus for now, but still hundreds and perhaps thousands of more still arriving here at the airport tonight. Reporting from New Orleans International, Vicente Arenas, 11 News.
As we've seen, Houston's Reliant Park has been turned into a giant makeshift shelter compound.
It's also part hospital. 11 News reporter Dave Failing has received rare access inside Reliant Arena, used as a triage center. He joins us live to share with us what he has
Jerome,
seen.
They are treating hundreds of sick and injured people here. Many of them are children. They have had one death, an elderly woman, we're told, who was a cancer victim. We went inside to see for ourselves firsthand just what this triage is like.
We're looking for the TCH staff, Texas Children's Hospital staff? I don't know. Okay.
Doctors called it controlled chaos. It amounts to an entire community health center set up virtually overnight in the Reliant Arena.
Basically just set it up like a mini hospital.
I think it's an improved situation over what I saw earlier this morning.
We followed Dr. Ralph Feigen from Texas Children's Hospital. His staff is treating everything from head colds to cancer patients.
We are meeting the challenge, and I think that over time this challenge is not going to disappear from what I've seen for a considerable period of time.
Now earlier they did run short of tetanus shots, but since they have gotten in some more supplies, so they're okay now. They say they can handle the numbers of people they have right now, but no more than what they have right now. Reporting from the Astrodome, Dave Failing, 11 News.
11 News reporter Jeff McShann has also witnessed medical emergencies in the aftermath of Katrina. He sent us the amazing pictures from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Patients from hospitals in New Orleans continue to be evacuated. Aboard this helicopter, we'll take a look. A handful of newborn babies. It was an incredible sight as they were being moved inside the Women's Hospital here in Baton Rouge.
The people at University Hospital done an incredible job keeping these babies alive, doing them supplies, no water, things like that. So hopefully for these babies, the worst part is over.
As you can imagine, just getting out of University Hospital wasn't easy. Nurse Amanda Searle was one of the few that went into what seemed to be a war zone.
You heard the gunshots?
They heard the gunshots, the state troop did. There was reports that there were gunfire, so we had a SWAT team that cleared the hospital and let us back in and rescue 14 babies from Children's Hospital.
We didn't get this mother's name, but she had quite a story to tell.
I've been in the hospital since Friday, last Friday, and they was discharging me, but after the storm came, they told us the hospital was on lockdown and we couldn't leave.
She survived, and so did her son, Jordan. And Jordan is doing well at this hour. We just got back from Baton Rouge General Hospital, where we'll show you a story tonight of a RN who was actually injured during all the rescues. We're live in Baton Rouge. I'm Jeff McShann, 11 News.
Houston isn't the only home to evacuees. We will show you how one small community is rallying around their new neighbors.
Friday night football will be a little different in one local community.
Certainly will. Tomball on the northwest side of Harris County is welcoming Katrina evacuees. 11 sports reporter Matt Musel is there live to show us how the city is welcoming its new fans. Matt?
Well, guys, if Houston is bursting at the seams with evacuees, this small town says, don't worry, we still have room for you.
Welcome to the high school, guys.
Thank you.
You bet.
It's known as the hometown with a heart, and Tomball is showing plenty of heart this evening. They're holding a cookout here at the high school. It's free to all hurricane evacuees, and some teenagers are even enrolling in school.
Our house is under 12 feet of water, so all you can see is the roof. So do what you got to do, though. I mean, I couldn't have came to a better place.
In stark contrast, though, was this scene at the Tomball office for Health and Human Services Commission. It's been standing room only for Louisiana evacuees wanting food stamps for the past few days. And check this out. We found one Tomball home housing 30 evacuees under one roof. It's estimated that at least 1,000 evacuees are here in this small town of 10,000.
We thank God we have a place to go to, because a lot of people don't have a place to go to.
You all have provided a lot of love and shown a lot of love to all of us up here, and we do appreciate it.
And this is the Tomball High School baseball team. The head coach, Rick Lynch, spearheaded this effort, and we say congratulations to them for welcoming all these evacuees. I'm Matt Musel reporting live from Tomball.
For the very latest on the aftermath of Katrina, trust 11 News this morning. Now, 11 News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Sherman Chow.
And I'm Vicente Arenas in Louisiana this evening. I'm in Baton Rouge following the latest developments on the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. I traveled to New Orleans today, where some hungry and frustrated victims at the convention center are finally rescued.
And here in Houston, the GRB opens downtown as another temporary shelter for Gulf Coast victims opens up. Evacuees settle into the Astrodome complex for what could be a lengthy stay in Houston. We begin downtown with 11 News reporter Wendell Edwards outside the GRB, and that opened for evacuees late last night. Wendell?
Tremaine, some conventions have been postponed, others outright canceled, as the city of Houston opens the doors of the George R. Brown Convention Center for a few thousand more evacuees. In a city they don't know, surrounded by people they've never met. The latest evacuees from New Orleans, Louisiana were greeted with applause.
I think they're a little overwhelmed right now. We're just happy to get them into the city and start taking care of them.
Dozens of evacuees arrived by the busload this afternoon to the newest shelter in Houston, the George R. Brown Convention Center. Many still feeling the effects of being trapped in a city underwater for the last 6 days.
Something you couldn't even imagine. Right about now, I can't talk about it.
The convention center was turned into a shelter literally overnight. A shelter complete with its own playground and theater for children, and a health triage for people in need of medical care. Mayor Bill White says this shelter in the end will hold 7,000 evacuees in all, mostly those just arriving in Houston.
Some of those who are at the last out may be some of those who are in the most desperate need.
City officials say about 800 people in existing shelters, those who were in the first wave of evacuees, are also coming here. People like the Renaults and their 4 children. They stayed in a Baytown shelter for 3 days before coming here last night.
I keep thinking I'm going to wake up. I just keep thinking I'm going to wake up like this is not America. I can't understand why it's the 6th day and these people getting on buses from New Orleans.
The convention center will be a shelter for at least the next month. After that, city officials say they will reassess the situation, although sources tell me it's probably more than likely that the convention center will stay a shelter for quite some time. 11 News has also learned there is a plan to give the convention center its own unique zip code, just like the Astrodome now has, so evacuees can eventually get access to their mail. But the most pressing issue for now, authorities tell me, is to get the evacuees here and get them the help that they need. We're live in downtown. Wendell Edwards, 11 News.
The Astrodome is filled, but evacuees are still coming into the Reliance Center as tens of thousands are finding shelter in Houston. 11 News reporter Mike Zentek joins us from the Reliant Park outside the dome with the latest on the situation there. Mike?
Well, Sherman, we learned about an hour ago that Houston police here at Reliant Park are investigating the alleged sexual assault of a boy. That's all we know. We don't know his age. We don't know if the alleged victim or any possible suspects were evacuees. As for the 15,000 inside the Astrodome, they say they're very grateful to be here, but they are still confused about the lack of help at home. In a sea of thousands of green cots, for one moment, Janice Marillion and Geraldine Hunt were the only two people in the Astrodome.
I came looking and I saw her. It's my cousin. This is beautiful. Thanks.
We're both from New Orleans.
They and many other of these evacuees have called the dome home for 3 days. Jamaica Glover says she's grateful she and her children have a place to stay and food to eat. But Glover and others wonder, where was the help back home?
They should have had more people out there to help us get away. But we had to swim through water. They have no boats and stuff trying to help us.
Louisiana's lieutenant governor was in no mood to take on that subject after visiting dome evacuees.
What I'm focused on as lieutenant governor right now is getting those people out, saving lives, and I'm going to let other people argue about that particular thing.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee says Homeland Security officials should get a grilling.
Did they get in front of the danger? I don't believe they did. And to be very frank with you, they will have to answer to members of the United States Congress.
I know that we can rebuild New Orleans.
These evacuees will leave that debate to the politicians. Right now, these people just want some rest. An updated figures show almost 24,000 evacuees here at Reliant Park and at the GRB. We should also point out that Houston is now a processing point for anyone coming from Louisiana on a bus. They come here to Houston first, and they'll either stay here or go to cities like Dallas or San Antonio. Reporting live from Reliant Park, Mike Zentek, 11 News.
Hundreds of people just showed up at Reliant Park today wanting to lend a helping hand, and 11 News reporter Chow Win is there live. Chow?
Hi there, Sherman. Suffice it to say, things here at Reliant Park when it comes to these volunteers, very busy, a little hectic, but from what we could see when we were out at Reliant Arena where the volunteers are, things are going smoothly. There were no complaints, just a lot of helping hands. Let's take a look at some of the things we saw. This is a human chain of sorts. Volunteers were processed and then they waited for their assignments. We were told 9,000 showed up, and in just the last several hours, 2,600 people came. They were put to work almost immediately, shuffling supplies, and car after car came by to drop off all kinds of necessities. We met citizens from all walks of life.
If it happened to us, if the storm would have hit us, they would have done the same thing for us. So, it's all worth it.
You can only sit at home and watch the TV so much, and then you feel helpless. And there's work to be done and the things that are needed. And you just come here and you just show up and you just do what you can. You ask whoever you can what is there to do, and you start moving boxes. You start directing people to certain areas, just anything that you can do.
And another thing we were told, even more impressive perhaps, is that we've learned doctors have come out in droves. In fact, there were 4 doctors to every patient out here at Reliant Park. In fact, we still saw a lot of medical personnel out here. Some of the things they still need, baby formula is very important, specifically Similac. Some of the volunteers said that the children were getting sick on other formulas, so they're hoping for more Similac. They're hoping for more diapers, of course, food, anything the volunteers and people want to bring out here. Reporting live at Reliant Park, Chow Win, 11 News.
All right, and the Reverend Al Sharpton is in Houston today, calling on all clergy to help with those relief efforts. He says moral leaders have an obligation to fill in the gap and provide what the federal government hasn't. He called on ministers to go to the pulpit tomorrow and ask people to open their homes to the overflow of evacuees who cannot stay at the Astrodome and GRB.
Thousands of people obviously have died. We should not step over their grave and allow people that did not operate at the highest level of competency to continue to operate with immunity.
Sharpton says he also plans to travel to New Orleans in the next couple of days to hold a mass funeral for those who died. Some evacuees are breathing a sigh of relief after their shelter was nearly closed. The Gloria Dei Lutheran Church has become home to a small number of evacuees, and just this morning they were told the shelter would be closed and all its residents would be moved to Reliant Park or the GRB as part of a consolidation effort. The evacuees were upset about the decision and begged organizers to reconsider. Some had found jobs near the church, and many of their children had already been enrolled at nearby schools.
You know, it's a handful of us, we do understand, but we have met the most generous people I ever met in my life.
Eventually, FEMA and other organizers decided to keep the shelter open after even more evacuees began arriving there from areas hit by Hurricane Katrina. And a hurricane evacuee is recovering after being hit by Houston's light rail. Police tell us the man was reportedly wearing headphones when he walked onto the tracks, through the safety arms, and into the path of an oncoming train. He was taken to Ben Taub Hospital with a ruptured spleen. He had been staying at the Astrodome. Coming up next on 11 News at 6, left with no water or food for days, evacuees finally leave the New Orleans Convention Center. The search for survivors continues in the Big Easy more than 5 days after the storm. Plus, we'll have a live report on that massive effort to treat hurricane victims before they leave Louisiana. The airlifts continued today in New Orleans. Rescuers pulled a boy from the balcony of a home. He was clinging to the rescuer as he was lifted into a helicopter. The U.S. Navy is also part of the airlift rescues, pulling the stranded and suffering off of roofs and out of high water. Officials say nearly 4,000 people were airlifted out of the city yesterday alone. That brings the total to more than 25,000 air rescues since Katrina came ashore. Late today, officials said many died not as a result of the storm, but in the days after from lack of food, water, and medical attention. At the New Orleans Convention Center today, help finally arrived. A string of air-conditioned buses pulled up to carry out the thousands who have been stranded there for nearly a week. 11 News anchor Vicente Arenas joins us again live from Baton Rouge, where he arrived just a short time ago from the New Orleans Convention Center. Vicente.
Yeah, Sherman, we drove into downtown New Orleans, and it's amazing, some of the sights here. It's like a no man's land. You drive through and you see mattresses on the sidewalks. You see chairs where thousands of people once were. And we're hearing those reports that a lot of people are being rescued. But tonight, there are hundreds or perhaps thousands that are still looking for some way out of there.
We need help over here. We need help. We got elderly people over here.
There may be fewer people around the convention center in downtown New Orleans, but the cries for help are louder than ever.
Totally hell. It's been miserable. Our sick people are dying. They're dying. We're living in feces up to our ankle. They put us in a place that was destroyed by the storm. We're sleeping on wet floors. The bathrooms are demolished. They got dead bodies within this building.
Many are hobbling out. Others need a helping hand.
1, 2, 3.
It is no doubt rough as hell here. The blues have never been bluer.
I think it's ridiculous.
Why is that?
Because we stay here for 3 days and we never moved yet.
Music is helping this 9-year-old and his grandmother cope with a third world born overnight.
Ridiculous. And I hated my grandchildren to have to be in this. I just thank God that and wish these buses would come on so we can get away from here.
We got buses coming till midnight tonight. You're going to get out of here. Okay? The problem is people here are losing trust and growing even more frustrated. More guards and guns are coming, but these folks say they'd rather have buses. Many of those people are also being airlifted out of there, but it is a long, slow process. It is unclear how many will still be there tomorrow. It is still a very dire and a dangerous situation in and around New Orleans. As we were leaving that area, we heard several gunshots as people were launching boats to try to get into neighborhoods where several people, hundreds perhaps thousands, still need to be rescued. Reporting live from Baton Rouge, Vicente Arenas, 11 News. Sharon Min, back to you.
All right, thank you, Vicente. Well, thousands of survivors are also being evacuated from the New Orleans airport, and that is where we find 11 News reporter Jeff McShann. Jeff?
That's right, Sherman. We are here at the airport. As you can see behind me, the choppers just keep coming and going and bringing those folks to safer, higher ground. It has been like this the entire day. There has been an unimaginable, unexplainable delay, but the deafening noise heard here at the New Orleans airport Saturday is proof nonstop help has arrived. One after another, military and Coast Guard helicopters bring in those that have been stranded. Watching people as they're directed towards the terminal just breaks your heart. They are old, they are young, some are helpless. The relief workers seem to be treating everyone with extreme care and respect. Those that need medical attention, and there are many, are taken inside where a massive makeshift hospital has been set up. IVs can be found hanging from chairs.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get at least 2 straps on them so that they stay stable.
We came across this medic from Pennsylvania. He was strapping patients onto stretchers, getting them ready to be taken down to the plane, like this 91-year-old and her son.
Probably going to be going up north, just to get you safe away from all the flooding and all the danger.
Doctors are here from all over the country helping out, like Dr. Bill Frisk, who is also our Senate Majority Leader.
It is exactly like a MASH unit in the sense that all these people got medical problems. We're standing in a part of the airport that is, everybody's got a medical problem, so everybody needs some sort of response, and it's difficult to respond to everybody right now, so time is of essence.
As people wait in line to board,
We'll be going to San Antonio.
Volunteers were passing out food, and U.S. Marshals from Washington, D.C. were taking the time to listen to evacuees seeking their loved ones.
Well, see, we done already been sitting back here since yesterday evening.
Yes, many have questioned and will criticize the delay. But at this airport Saturday, there is nonstop help. The human spirit is alive. Alive and well. It's certainly a joy to see all the relief workers out here doing the best they can. The volunteers from all over the country. This is truly unique. And as you can see behind me, the helicopters just keep coming and going. The help is finally here, and I can tell you firsthand, talking to so many people downstairs, they're extremely happy. We're live at the New Orleans airport. I'm Jeff McShann, 11 News.
We are returning now to anchor Vicente Arenas with more on the relief effort. Vicente?
Yeah, Sherman, there's been a lot of death and destruction here, but today, a few lighthearted moments. I want to show you some video of quarterback Peyton Manning and his brother Eli showing up at the Pete Maravich Center here at LSU. A lot of people were happy. A lot of the evacuees were able to get autographs. Both of the brothers were volunteering with the Red Cross. They went on their own accord. They said they wanted just to help out however possible. They're local heroes. Their father played for the Saints. But, you know, Sherman, even though we see that and there are a few smiles, there's still so much sadness here and so many people that are suffering. Sherman?
You know, we've seen so much of the tape of the conditions in New Orleans. Is it really as widespread as we have the sense of?
It is, Sherman. You know, today when we were in a neighborhood in the Garden District, which is a historic, beautiful district, we heard gunshots, and then as our crew was walking through some homes in the area, there was a smell of death. I can't tell you if that was from human bodies or from animals, hard to say, but the smell of death here is definitely in the air, and there are some very frustrated people. The condition continues to be very dire, and it will be until those folks who are stranded are able to get out of there. Sherman, back to you.
All right. Well, at least as you showed us, the buses are coming to the convention center and they're evacuating folks out of that airport. So at least it's underway, obviously.
I hope they get home soon.
You bet. Thanks, Vicente. And join us tomorrow morning for a special Sunday morning show on the continued aftermath of Hurricane Katrina and the impact on Houston. That show will air tomorrow from 8 to 9:30, preempting the CBS Sunday morning show. And of course, we will be back here at 10 o'clock tonight along with Vicente and Jeff McShann. We hope to see you back then. Take care.